Riley, thanks for having me.
So I want to start with the fact that Democrats are much more focused about someone who was here illegally, so much so that they're in El Salvador, while the sewage crisis is something they're largely ignoring.
That's right. This is a major international incident that's been going on for decades now, and it's been characterized mostly by inaction, except for President Trump, who, right before the end of his first administration, appropriated $300 million to solve this problem. Unfortunately, it was near the end of his administration, and for the next 4 years after that, we had no progress at all that was appreciable. And the problem, actually, because money stopped getting spent, because we stopped putting pressure on the nation of Mexico to maintain their treatment plant on their side of the border. They stopped spending money to keep it up. It began to break down. When it broke down, the raw sewage that it was treating now began to flow openly north because of gravity into the United States, into the Tijuana River, and out to sea. And of course, the currents wash it right up onto our beaches in Coronado, Imperial Beach. We met with the SEALs yesterday with the EPA administrator to hear from their commanders about how it's impacting their training. And one thing there's only one thing I said SEALs are not very good at, Navy SEALs, and that's complaining. They adapt and overcome.
Yes.
We ask them about the impacts on training, and they explain, well, we just move our training from A to B when that happens, but the reality is they're having to move open ocean swims out of the open ocean into the bay. And that's not where we fight wars. We have to train like we fight, and so it's very important. And we got into the E. coli and the chloroform and the science of water cleanliness. And, at the end of the day, we decided it didn't matter what the levels of bacteria are. No U.S. Navy SEAL should have to train in water that's contaminated with sewage. It's disrespectful to the men and women that serve our United States in uniform. It's, and obviously it's destroying us as a region. It's putting the Hotel Del nearly on the brink of going out of business because people don't want to come to a place that smells of sewage, shockingly.
Yeah. Yes.
This administration is putting the pressure on our Mexican counterparts. And we did hear from the administrator that President Sheinbaum has a stronger interest in environmental issues, and we appreciate that. I appreciate and I respect the fact that the administration wants to negotiate first with honey. And they're allowing President Sheinbaum, who was elected just a month or two before President Trump was reelected, they're allowing the negotiating process to work, although the administrator said we need to see immediate results. We need shovels in ground immediately, beginning to repair the project on the Mexican side. If we don't, what I've asked the administrator personally is to hear the calls from elected officials in California that we must begin to turn off the freshwater supply. 98% of Tijuana's fresh water flows south through the United States. We have the authority to stop the flow of fresh water. We are giving them the water that they are literally turning into sewage and sending back our way.
Unbelievable.
Now, we have a very real mechanism to get their full attention.
Yes.
And until they stop flushing the toilet on us, we should let them know we're very serious about getting that attention.
There's an irony here, isn't there also, John? Because this is the party, it's actually Earth Day this week, was on Tuesday, and
that's right.
Democrats paint themselves the party of the environment, the party of protecting Mother Earth, and yet they let environmental disasters like this, which have real-world externalities for human beings, their own constituents, the people that pay their salaries in Congress, and they say nothing, and they do nothing about it for years and years and years. That tells me a lot about where their priorities really are, but I want to ask you that question. What do you think that says about the state of the Democrat Party?
I saw a real lack of action here locally, even from a lot of the federal officials, and I'm not going to name names, but we didn't see them. We hear them accusing everybody in the book of not taking action, but what I would ask them if they were sitting here with us is, tell me specifically what you did to make sure that the EPA, being run by President Biden and his appointees, took swift action. I don't remember the EPA administrator being here under the Biden administration demanding immediate action, and that's the difference. Lee Zeldin, Trump's appointee to EPA, is demanding immediate action. We had a special advisor to the president, was also with us yesterday, who's taking this information directly back. He's going to meet with President Trump this weekend and brief him on what he saw here. The president is personally interested in this, and I think that's really what's different. Trump actually, he was here several times visiting the border wall, especially the prototypes, and he smelled it. He knows what the problem is. He heard about it firsthand from a lot of us local leaders, and he's committed to take action. And we are, for the first time, really hopeful that we might get a solution here.
Okay. I think you're right, though. It's about using the leverage that we do have. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe Joe Biden was just afraid of doing that. I don't know why. I'm just speculating. But while we're talking about the border as well, and speaking of inaction, nobody, barely anybody from the Biden administration ever went to the border. I mean, Kamala Harris did once in a PR stunt herself, but Joe Biden, not even a little bit. But now we have illegal border crossings way down. They've plummeted upwards of 90+%. It's remarkable. And now over the weekend, we saw the Joint Chiefs Chairman make a surprise visit to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic. It's long overdue. And the contrast is really shocking to me. What do you make of that?
I've been to the border about 7 times in the last several years.
So more than Kamala Harris.
Yesterday was obviously the most recent I was at the border. We were between the 2 border fences, and for the first time ever, I saw barbed wire has been added to the fence on both sides.
Really?
And let me tell you, I watched people climb over that fence. You know, the wall, which is really a fence, was never devised to stop people from getting across. It was devised to slow them down so that the paved asphalt road in between, we would basically catch people in the middle and be able to return them to Mexico. Because it's not a single fence, it's actually 2. A lot of people don't realize that. But people were, and they were collecting huge piles of ladders made out of rebar. It's relatively easy when we don't patrol. When we stand down, it's quite easy to jump over. It's incredibly inhuman to build a wall and then not police it, because people are throwing children over. They're breaking their limbs when they're falling. We should police it. We should, we should protect our borders. No one is crossing now. Every 15 minutes, another group of migrants, before President Trump was reelected, another 15 minutes, another group of migrants. What we saw yesterday, no one is crossing that wall. And it is simply a change of leadership, and it was announcing to the world that we're not going to allow people to cross illegally.
Yes.
We're still allowing 1.8 million people to come to the United States legally every year. Always have to remind people we're the most generous nation on earth when it comes to lawful immigration. Every nation on earth combined doesn't equal our legal immigration. So it's not that we're stopping immigrants, and it's not that we don't love our immigrants.
Yes.
But now it's a lawful and orderly process, as everything should be. Getting back to the sewage disaster, it's a failure of bureaucratic inaction. Government has become paralyzed. And, I have a theory when we talk about DOGE. If you hire 200 people to do the job of 10, nobody takes accountability. And this is really where we've gotten to. And we've gotten to it a lot of times at local level, state level, and federal level, particularly. So many people without accountability. If you have fewer people to get the same job done, we know who's in charge, and we know who's going to get fired if the job doesn't get done. We need to restore accountability in government.
Yes.
Citizens need to hold electeds accountable, and electeds need to hold staff accountable. And, for a long time, we've gotten into the idea that we can't terminate anybody for failure to get a job done. In fact, we promote people up to get them out of the way.
That's right.
A lot of times in government. That's wrong. You should produce a product and provide a valuable service for the taxpayer, or we should invite you to find another career opportunity.
Yes.
It's that simple.
It is. Yeah, well, I'm just glad you said that, because I think people sometimes look at DOGE and they think it's mean or it's vengeful or something, but it's really quite the opposite. This is about making sure that we serve the American people as best as we can. So we only want the best and the brightest in those key roles in the government. So thank you for clarifying that. And
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time today, John.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next.